What's good? It's your boy CJ Goodfella back with the Boston Clinic and more. Shout out to the LDBC, the YTBC, we working. And, got some good news, some breaking news coming in. According to, the Instagram WBC verified page, we have some clarity on the situation with the 147-pound welterweight WBC title and its rankings. It seems that Danny Garcia and Brandon Rios was sanctioned for eliminator, and the winner of that is going to be ordered to face Shawn Porter. Now, we thought, and jumped to the conclusion here on the live stream earlier, thought that Shawn Porter will automatically get the shot at Keith Thurman since he was the mandatory. He had 2 fights with Berto, made him mandatory. But between after the Berto fight, the WBC ordered for Danny Garcia to fight Shawn Porter, number 1 and 2 in the rankings. 2 guys that just fought, Keith Thurman back to back. And then we thought, and then, Shawn Porter sent out the little Randy Savage little, moniker out. Then Danny said send the contract. Shawn said we never got the contract. So Shawn went to fight Andrew Granados, said he suffered a hand injury, I believe, and we thought it was washed. Shawn Porter said we're not coming back until the Keith Thurman fight. Now the WBC is saying that Danny Garcia, the winner of Danny Garcia and Brandon Rios, hopefully it's Danny Garcia for our sake, which it should be. If it ain't, he should retire. The winner of Brandon and Danny is going to have to fight Shawn Porter, and then that'll produce the mandatory for Keith Thurman, which changes everything. That can open up a fight date for Keith and Earl next. Shawn doesn't, Keith can't hide behind a mandatory. He can fight his mandatory, or the winner of Keith and Earl can fight his mandatory at the end of the year. But now, I believe Keith Thurman is going to manage his year differently. He said he wanted to fight 3 times. I think he's going to double up. He's been fighting once the last 2 years. I think he's going to fight twice at the most this year because he's trying to avoid the Earl Spence fight. I don't care what nobody says, and I got mad love for Keith. Because we know he's fighting Jesse in April. So I think he's trying to avoid this fight, with Earl. But back to this, Danny's fighting February 17th, I believe, versus Brandon Rios. This can shape up to be a good summer Brooklyn Barclay fight, a nice trip for the Boston Clinic to make back to New York again. And, it makes perfect sense for them to get it on in the summer. Shawn said I wasn't coming back into the Keith fight, but he can come back earlier now. I don't believe he truly was injured. So he could fight Danny in the summertime, or, if Danny don't handle Brandon Rios easily, the quicker the better the turnaround. Danny been fighting once and twice every now and again in a year. They need to be more active. They need to get 3 fights in this year, both of these guys. Keith does as well. We get to that in a minute. But, it all started when Danny Garcia a couple years ago opened his mouth up and said that, Shawn Porter was tailor-made for him. His jab wasn't good enough. He wasn't going to beat a guy like him without a jab. And Shawn Porter had an inferior jab. And I'm paraphrasing, that's what he said. And then Kenny and Shawn brought it back up. They listen. Like, shout out to Barbershop Conversation. He was saying in one of the little intros he had, Kenny was like, I like him. We listen to him. They listen to, the YTBC and the LDBC. They listen to what we say out here, Trust me, they really do. And, shot from, we ain't got to be ESPN, Ellie Setback, Fight Hype. Guys like 7-8 Sports, Dante's Block Nation, T Street Controversy. And mid guys, big guys, small in between, they listen to what we saying. And, they hear the rumblings, so they hear it. So they watch the interviews and they know that Shawn, they took it personal. They said, well, this was a little regular interview he did with one of the, regular LDBC, YTBC channels. And, Shawn was like, Kenny was like, well, we got heat for them. He said, since we tailor-made, come make the fight. I forgot what interview it was. Come get us. I think it was with Ego, Boxing Ego. Shout out to him. And he was like, come get us. He was told not to ask about the Earl Spence fight, which they was ducking Earl Spence, and they was trying to say in the interview that Danny was ducking them. Hypocritical all the way around the board. But, both of them duck Earl Spence. Why not fight each other for the mandatory spot versus Keith Thurman? It'd be interesting, back to Keith Thurman, if he's able to squeeze in that Earl Spence fight in between that. After Jesse Vargas in April, come back at the end of the summer versus Earl Spence or versus Amir Khan or whoever. And then if he could squeeze in the third one, that'd be the ideal situation, and squeeze in this mandatory at the end. But I think what he's going to do is fight in April, make an excuse, come back at the end of the year and fight this mandatory, and wait to face Earl Spence in 2019, even though Steven Espinoza, the head of Showtime Boxing, he used to be the head of HBO Boxing Sports. He's the head of Showtime Boxing Sports now, and CBS Sports as well. He's a part of that, same parent company. Said he likes the possibility of Spence and Thurman happening this year. So maybe he knew this coming along with this fight. So maybe they could squeeze it in in the fall and the winter, kind of like the September, August type of area. After Keith fights in April, I'm pretty sure Earl will be up for that. He fighting in January. He might like to come back a little quicker than that, but why not? You can squeeze that fight in, and then next year they can handle their mandatory obligations with both of the belts, with all three of the belts, and try to get ready for, Crawford or whatever else they got going on. So it's shaping up to be a great 2018 already. So, if Danny get past Brandon Rios, we got Danny and Shawn Porter. Keith Thurman has an open fight date, because these guys are probably going to fight sometime in the summer. Keith will fight in April. We know Keith is going to wait for the mandatory this fight. He's not trying to fight anybody like Errol Spence unless he can make the Amir Khan fight and make some money in the UK. So, we know I'm pretty much going to say I'm going to go out on a limb right now. Say Keith is fighting twice here. He's going to fight Jesse Vargas in the winner of this fight if it's able to be made, which it sounds like it will be this time. And the winner of this fight to get Keith sometime in November, December. And the Earl Spence fight, Terrence Crawford fight, whatever big fight in the welterweight division, you won't get to see that until 2019. And I know it won't be an undisputed lineal champion unless Crawford is able to sign with Al Heyman and Premier Boxing Champions. And, as hard as it is, it's hard enough to get, Keith and Earl in the ring together, let alone somebody else from a promotional company with the Cold War beef going on. So let me know what y'all think. We gone.